Well, Doc Holliday has had quite the run, and I've had a ton of fun with him in this build on and playthrough on survival. But at this point, now that we're at in-game stuff, some of the stuff is just not interesting or appealing to me to play through, especially some of the stuff you have to go all over the map for. And at this point, Doc is so damn powerful that it's kind of, in a funny way, it's kind of taking some enjoyment out of the playthrough. I'm just over leveled at this point, which is a good thing. Obviously we want on survival mode, we play through a lot of the early stages, some of the frustrating parts of the game when you're not quite um, ready, if you will, to take on some of the more challenging missions and enemies. But at this point, I'm one-shotting legendary synths and enemies. Obviously, the bigger monsters are giving me a little bit more trouble, but they're still going down with 4 or 5 shots with the criticals, of course, helping out too. But so first and foremost, if you're curious about the build itself, heavy OP gunslinger build, which is the foundation of this build from level 1 all the way to 42. If you're curious about it, does it work? Is it worth it? Absolutely, 100%. This build, just using a pistol, is totally worth kind of the headache that you have to go through to get to the 40s. And you actually get there fairly quick. It's just things that I've learned that I would have done differently to get through it a little bit quicker, I think, if I had to do it again. There's a couple things I wanted to share with y'all. But first and foremost, if you're curious if the build is great, does it work? 100% yes. It's very powerful. By the time you get into the 30s, I would say that you're already wrecking shop like crazy. Um, and so, a couple of things just to point out. If you follow his build and you're actually looking at his video, and in the details he goes through everything from 1 to 42. Only thing I would change, I think at 28, 29, he tells you to go to Gun Fu. Um, Now, my perspective is a little bit different because if you follow the videos, then you know that I skipped Gun Fu and actually put points into a ninja so that I could have some sneak attack. Because some of the places he has you go to early on, you need some type of advantage when you're, level 20 or something like that. Because um, you need a little bit of help because some of the higher end enemies are still pretty powerful and hard to take out, and you're not quite as accurate, and you don't have a lot of crits that you could build up early, like. So I decided on 28, 29 to put it into Ninja. I ended up putting points into it much later, and I didn't really see the difference, but it also could be that I was so darn powerful that by the time I was getting to my second person to shoot, it was still taking. So, for example, if I vatted up 4 people, the first person, obviously, you're taking out. By the time you get to the second person, you're doing 25% more damage. Third person gets 50% more damage, and then the last one is an instant crit. But what I found was like the second person took as much damage to take out as the first person, and then same with third. So I didn't see, even when I added it later, I think I did it in the 50s. There's when I'm level 72, 76 as you can see. But so if you're of the same opinion, like you don't see a lot of value in gun food, then I would go this route too, just so you can have that extra 2.5 to 3 time damage that you get um, with the 1 and 2 ranks up. That'd be probably the only thing I would do again that I did in this playthrough. But outside of that, the most elite perk, some of the most elite perks that I never really used before in survival mode that I think are top tier are for sure Aquaboy. When it comes to traversing the map, he has you for this build. He has you going all over the place. Literally, you're spending a lot of time obviously in the Boston downtown area, but you are actually spending some time up in some sections where there's some enemies that are insanely powerful. But there's some ways to get to those areas without having to go through the landmass and having to fight through, enemies that are just way out of your league early on. And obviously, if you're just using a pistol, which I did, I refuse to use any other gun beside pistol or WERP, which is the what do you call it? Lever action rifle, which early on, if you're putting all your points into pistol, this gun is going to be absolutely terrible. So I mainly use it just to pick off like, rodents, bugs, and whatnot. But anyways, even with the pistol early on, some of these levels, some of the higher level enemies are just too powerful. So not until, like I mentioned, you get into the 40s. But other than that, like the build, like when you're going through 1 through 42, the build is pretty spot on what you need to do. The things I did later that I kind of regret, just to point out, if you're looking at my 1 through 76, some key points of advice that I would probably follow and not do that I did is I put a ton of points into perception thinking it was going to help my accuracy, and I really didn't see the advantage. For me, the advantages lay in like the fact that you're using VATs and your AP is constantly rebuilding, and when you use criticals, you're obviously going to be 100% accurate. So this is where you should invest all of your points. This line right here, all the way down to 4-leaf clover, and then not so much into perception. I really thought that this was going to be a game changer. Concentrated fire, it is absolute trash. I would never use it again. Never put points into it. I don't see the value in it. I used it a few times, and by the time you get to past 60, you're so darn powerful that you're not really putting a ton of shots into anything besides legendary beasts, And then the same thing, with awareness too. Didn't see an advantage with that either. Don't put points into that. If you're me, I would never do that again. And then, perception, like I said, I put points all the way into 10 so that I can get the concentrated fire. I would not do that again. I'd probably spend my points elsewhere. Oh, hey, Sniper Elite 5. Thank you for interrupting my video. But yeah, I would probably put points into toughness. Probably later in the game, you want to be able to maybe work with your settlements a little bit better. Maybe put points into the settlement building aspect, or points into medic so that you're not having to suffer as much. Anyways, y'all know the deal. I just saying like don't follow after 60 and some of the stuff that I did. I wouldn't follow that either. But yeah, that's it. Just wanted to give a quick recap. Putting Doc away for a little bit. I may bring him back just to finish the game out and then do some of the Enclave. I think I got some Enclave stuff to do. Yeah, Echoes of the Past was actually what I was kind of thinking about doing that. But at this point, I want to move on to a different build and play a different style. But absolutely, this was a ton of fun. I'm not even, like, that's the other thing to point out. Because he's a VATS character, I'm not really worried about damage. And if you think you're going to have to run around with the power armor because you don't want to get shot a lot, in VATS on survival, if you build it right, you really don't have to worry about being shot a lot. Because I'm literally, even with, if you watch some of my last videos when I do get shot, I'm only 180 damage resistance and 189 on energy, and I really don't. By the time I'm getting shot, I'm dropping the other guy already. And you know what's funny about this game is I pointed out a couple times that there's some scenarios where I'm getting shot in the VATS, and you'll see my health go all the way down. But when I finish off my target, my health is not impacted at all. So what I figured out, I guess, is that your damage doesn't actually apply until that turn-based thing is done. So technically, it's your first turn. The way I think about it, because I played turn-based in the back in the day, your turn is still going, even though they're kind of shooting some bullets at you, whatever. But not necessarily have you gotten the damage that you got. So, anyways, that's kind of a weird thing. But even with that, 180 is completely fine with the VATS character. If you're not playing VATS, well, I'm not sure why you're watching this video because this is a VATS build. But anyways, even if you're just curious, I guess, if you could replicate a Gunslinger build without VATS, then you're going to need to put some serious points into some defense and maybe not rock the outfit I'm wearing because, again, this whole outfit was, for me, like an aesthetic thing. I really wanted to keep the cowboy looking theme. And even though the hat's not doing much for me, the glasses is helping with perception. the what do you call it? The Minuteman. Yeah, Minuteman shirt is what do you call it? Weavable, ballistic weavable. Yeah, it's I was able to be fine with it. So even level 76, some of the enemies that are pretty heavy based in damage aren't really touching me because again I'm kind of freezing them in a vat situation. But anyways, hope this was helpful. If you decide to go through the journey, um, again, wish you all the best. The road to 0 to 40 does take a little bit, but it's totally worth it. And if you want to play a gunslinger build, so that's it.